there are places where the laws of physics cease to apply. Some are located beneath cities, others beneath water. And they all share one mystery. People go in, but they don't always come out. Let's start with a city that never sleeps, but beneath it lies something that no one talks about. Did you know that there is a tunnel right under New York City that does not appear on any official map? Every day, millions of people walk the streets of Manhattan and descend into the subway, unaware that just a few meters beneath their feet lies a structure that has been carefully hidden for decades. The story began in 2002. Workers reinforcing old utilities in the city center stumbled upon a strange metal door in the wall of a subway tunnel. The door had been welded shut and painted over so as not to attract attention. It seemed as if it had been deliberately hidden from prying eyes. When it was opened, it turned out that behind it lay a network of corridors that were not mentioned in any city plan. And from that moment on, questions arose that still remain unanswered. Inside, it looked as if people had left in a hurry. Long, narrow corridors covered with a layer of dust. Old equipment, laboratory tables, metal barrels with incomprehensible markings. These were no ordinary technical rooms. No one could identify the symbols on the barrels. They were not English letters, numbers, or familiar chemical symbols. Experts who were later brought in to examine the photographs admitted that they had never seen anything like it before. The strangest discovery was made not in the tunnel, but in the archives. This area was indeed marked on old drawings of New York, but not as part of the subway system or as technical facilities. The plan read, "Research area, no entry." But in modern documents available in municipal archives, this site has simply disappeared. It is as if it never existed. This raises the question, who decided to erase this entire piece of the city's history, and why? Residents of nearby areas said that back in the 1990s, they heard a strange rumbling coming from underground at night. It wasn't the sound of trains. The vibration was much deeper than that of the subway lines. Some swore they even heard a metallic grinding noise, as if some kind of equipment was being started up below ground. One of the workers who participated in the repairs in 2002 later admitted in an interview, "We saw huge containers being taken out of the tunnels. It all happened late at night. There were armed men around and no one explained what was inside. The containers disappeared just as suddenly. The tunnel was welded shut again. What could be hidden in these corridors? Some researchers believe that the tunnel was part of a secret Cold War program. Allegedly, new equipment related to underground communications and even experiments with acoustic weapons were tested there. But there are other versions. Some ufologists claim that the tunnel is connected to the story of a mysterious signal that was recorded in New York in the late 1980s. The signal came directly from under Manhattan, and if this is true, then perhaps these corridors were not just used for military testing. Today, the door to the tunnel has been welded shut again. It is impossible to get inside. Neither the city authorities nor the federal agencies are offering any comments. All information about the discovery disappeared as quickly as the story itself. And only one question remains. What exactly is hidden beneath the streets of New York City? If you can get lost forever underground, imagine what happens when an entire train disappears. Did you know that an entire passenger train disappeared? Right on the tracks? No accident. No trace. This is not a legend. It is a documented case. It happened in the summer of 1953. Train number 331 left Rome Station with dozens of passengers on board. Witnesses said the train was supposed to arrive in Milan. But after a couple of hours, it simply disappeared. No accident, no distress signal. It never arrived at the station. When the search party reached that section of track, they discovered something strange. The rails ended abruptly, as if they had disappeared into the ground. And on the embankment, there were skid marks, and nothing else. As if the entire team had vanished. The strangest thing is that years later, 3 people claimed to have seen this train. One was in Mexico, in the middle of the desert. The second was in Ukraine, on abandoned tracks near Kiev. And the third was in 1991, in a tunnel under Turin. He said he saw an old train, as if from the past, with people sitting in the windows, frozen with empty stares. But what if it's not a ghost? There is a theory that in the 1950s, the Italian Ministry of Transport conducted secret tests. The project was called Magno Corridor, an electromagnetic tunnel through which cargo was to be transported instantaneously. But on the day of testing, a passenger train entered the line, and instead of cargo, train number 331 entered the corridor. They say the project archives have been destroyed, but one document has survived. It contains a short sentence. The object has been moved. Temporary coordinates are unknown. And now, for the strangest part. In 2019, surveillance cameras at an abandoned station near Milan captured a train passing by without stopping. The number on board was 331. If it's that particular train, then it's still on its way somewhere. But there are places where not only trains disappear, but also people, and not on land, but in water. Did you know that there is a lagoon in South America that locals haven't entered for decades? They believe that this place is alive, and that the water there takes people away forever. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary lake. Calm waters, reflections of trees, birds flying above the water. But legends tell of a creature living beneath the surface. Even experienced swimmers who ventured in never returned. Sometimes their boats were found empty, with only their belongings left on the shore. But the people themselves, never. Locals whisper that at night the water begins to move on its own. Some claim they have heard voices calling out, as if someone from the depths were asking for help. A few years ago, something strange happened. The military suddenly cordoned off the lagoon. Roads were blocked, patrols were posted. For several months, no one could approach the water. What they were looking for is unknown. There were no reports or official comments. Only rumors. Locals said they heard the hum of engines at night and saw bright lights over the water. After that, many left the villages near the lagoon, saying it had become more dangerous than before. Recently, 2 independent researchers decided to find out the truth. They collected old maps, archival records, and rare eyewitness accounts. One document mentioned abnormal hydroacoustic signals recorded at night. Another contained a report on unidentified objects in the depths. All of this sounds more like military terminology than a tourist description. The most terrifying discovery came from a drone. The camera was flying over the water, filming a harmless landscape. And suddenly, a giant silhouette appeared in the distance. It was so clear that it was impossible to attribute it to the movement of the waves. Researchers showed the footage to experts, but they just shrugged their shoulders. This doesn't exist in nature. What was it? An animal unknown to science? Or something the military was trying to hide? Why has no one officially investigated the lagoon yet? And why do people still disappear there? This lagoon still exists. It is not included in tourist itineraries, but it can be found. There is only one question. Would you risk going into its waters, knowing that many have never returned? What if all these places are links in a single chain? What if beneath the earth, beneath the water, and beneath the ice, there is not just emptiness, but something alive?
Some say it's coincidence. Others say someone is carefully hiding the truth. And you, what do you believe?